start the recording. Thank you. All right, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Municipal Accountability Review Board. This is the subcommittee of Sprague, and today is November the 18th. I am Kimberly Kennison. I'm the designee for Secretary McCaw. And at this moment, Christine Shaw, the designee for Treasurer Wooden, hasn't joined as of yet, but we plan that she will. The time is 12:33. And thank you, everybody, for joining. I don't have any opening remarks today, so we'll move to approve the minutes of July 22nd. If I could get a motion. Oh, thank you, Sam. How about a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? I hear none, so can we move to a roll call vote if you're able to, Julian? If not,
Mr. Waxenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Luciano,
Here.
Mr. Brockman,
Yeah.
Ms. Kennison,
Yes.
and has Christine Shaw joined the meeting? I don't see her. So that's everybody.
All right, then the minutes have been approved. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to review and discuss ARPA and ESSER funds and the plans. I guess at this point, I believe I'm turning it over to Superintendent Hall. Is that true, Julian? At least for the ESSER.
Yeah, I think yeah, we could. Why don't we have Mr. Hull go first,
Okay.
and then we'll get the town.
Sure, I'd be more than happy to go first. Our American Relief Fund plan, we worked hard on, we didn't want to use the funding for a lot of staff, because once the funding goes away, we would be sitting with unemployment and layoffs. We did put some staff in. So I think we sent you a sheet with an outline. We put an instructional coach. We put an intervention and 2 part-time custodians, some summer custodians. And then we went to more programs. And we have, we're funding an after-school program for activities for 3 years. We have decided that one of the things that we want to do is educate parents. So we have a parent academy for 3 years where parents will come in and learn about early literacy, math, etc. Our kids don't travel a lot. Many of them do not travel. So we have field trips for 3 years. And then we have increased some of our tech services. We are trying to establish a school-based health clinic with the help of UCFS out of Norwich. And so we put some money off to the side there. One of the things that we also want to do is purchase a reading program to have a systematic ongoing instruction of reading. We did some technology upgrades and then some benefits for those employees that we've hired. So all told, the grant, the money was for $720,114. And I'll take any questions if anybody else has, if anybody has any.
The benefits that you have listed are the benefits that are actually related to the positions that you're requesting for that time, correct?
That's correct.
Nothing outside of that.
Nothing outside of that. We're
Okay.
not supplanting anything
Okay.
from this year's budget.
Can you describe to me what an educational coach is? And apologize that I do not know what that is.
It is one
Or
of the things that
instructional.
instructional coach is a non-administrative employee who will go into classrooms and help teachers become better teachers. And so one of the things that the board wanted is it was part of what they thought was very important. In order to save money, we went to a multi-age model in Sprague in order to cut down on staff. So our structure looks like kindergarten is single, one, and then there's 3 1-2 classrooms. There's first graders and second graders in there. Then we have 3 4 classrooms. Again, third graders and fourth graders are mixed, and 5 6, and then a traditional middle school with 7th and 8th grade. So an instructional coach would help. Our teachers are struggling with the multi-age model, and so it's designed for a coaching model to help teachers become more comfortable with that multi-age model. It's for 2 years. We have been upfront with the coach that we hired, that it's a 2-year position, and she took it. She took that challenge.
Very good. That's
Good luck.
interesting. I've never heard of that. I did hear about the multi-age, and I have a town by me that does that, and I would have viewed that as a struggle as well. So this is great to see that it also helps with that type of model.
And she's also going to help with curriculum writing. One of the deficits in Sprague when I arrived was there was absolutely no written curriculum. So this instructional coach will help write curriculum also. So we now have a math curriculum, and we're working on an English language arts curriculum, which should be done by July. And then music, PE, art, and computers will also be done by the end of July.
That's great news. Any questions?
I have a question if the subcommittee members are still working up questions about the health clinic. And I'm sorry, I didn't find it immediately in the detailed document that you provided. But so 2 questions. One is sort of what from a high level, kind of service is that providing, and what sort of need is it addressing? And then is the 7,500 that's represented in the funding plan, is that startup cost? Does that represent 1 to 3 years of operations, or that will then require ongoing funding after that? Or if you could just put the 7,500 into context as well.
Sure. The first is the need is for behavioral health more than anything else. I've done this before in another district, and we started with a medical model where we would have an APRN come in and do medical things. What we found was the agency that was supplying that service was losing money. However, there's a tremendous amount of need for behavioral health. A lot of kids live in trauma. A lot of kids have adverse family lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so the behavioral health clinic will be set up to handle behavioral health and counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not something unique to Sprague.
Mm-mm.
Throughout the country, kids who they really haven't been in school for 2 years, and there's all sorts of things going on at home. And with our demographic, we see kids who have tremendous needs when it comes to social emotional learning. The 70, and our problem is that we wanted to start this clinic in January, as of January 1st. The problem is social workers, clinical social workers, are in very short supply. And so right now we're planning to begin that from the beginning of next school year. The $7,500 is just startup costs to help UCFS get started. We've already done a room for them. We already have some equipment for them. But the other $7,500 is also to help get this up and running. Once it's up and running, it looks like we will be able. They'll be able to fund based on insurance payments, etc.
Oh, okay.
But kids are really kids in schools, and not just Sprague, but all over the state. If you talk to superintendents or other colleagues, kids are out of control because they have not been in the system of how to go to school, what to do, what happens when something goes wrong in school, and there are a tremendous amount of kids who are struggling.
If I might, you're
Julian, I
talking
answer
about,
your question?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
you're talking about behavior interventionist. Is that fairly accurate? I mean, that combined with the school-based health clinic, but it's basically behavior intervention services, right?
Well, it's basically counseling more than anything else to get to the
Yeah.
bottom of trauma. We went over to a different behavioral program that has worked, and in November we took a look at it, and really what we had was only 5 kids that were driving everybody nuts. So that's not too bad. We have an outside vendor that we use for a coach for our teachers how to deal with kids.
No.
But for the most part, the behavioral health clinic is counseling, and also family counseling.
Oh.
Yeah, well, they're defining that. I get it. It's just that in the new terminology, I guess they're calling them behavior interventionists, but that's fine. I understand.
Well, the way I look at behavior intervention is that's somebody to intervene with a teacher. We've gone to an SRBI model, and what we keep on telling teachers, look, we're trying to increase the tools in your toolbox to handle 85 to 90% of all problems. And we've had teachers though who a kid put something in his mouth, and this is no exaggeration, asked them to take it out as a kindergartner, and he refused, and the teacher's writing the kid up and sending him out of class, which we're trying to say, what else could you do? Here's a coach to help you deal with that child.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes all the way through middle school also. And we found that our most troubled kids are our younger kids because they haven't been in school.
Right.
The increase to technical services, is that a third party or is that an individual?
That is an individual, but that is an outside vendor.
Oh, okay.
We added because we've added so much new technology. In the last couple of years, all of our classrooms have smart boards or projectors, and we've increased the amount of computers that we had to redo the backside of the network also to make sure all these things are running. We felt it would behoove us to have this individual with us one more day a week.
Good. And I see the increase in custodial. Is that in relationship to something that you don't have? Because I would think that custodial is something that you already automatically need.
Well, that's a little bit more complex.
Sorry.
We that's I'll try to explain it. We because of where Sprague was and the amount of cutbacks they had in education and funding, they were down to basically bare bones, and a lot of projects that needed to be done were not getting done.
Okay.
So we hired we have a facilities director, and in order to free him up during the day so he could get a lot of these projects finished, we need someone to kind of run interference for the day-to-day operations of cleaning, and when there's a spill or a child is sick and needs to be cleaned up. This allowed us to allow the facilities director to stay on point on the projects that need to be done. So we're working through a long list of things that really needed to be cleaned up and corrected, and we're slowly working through that list. And so those custodians allow for him to do that during the day.
Okay.
And then we also know that again, we were up front with those. That's basically a 3-year position. And we believe that part-time custodians don't stay all that long. So we're hoping, although they've been fantastic, we believe that 2 of them will probably move on before we have to pay unemployment.
Mm-hmm. Is the increase in summer school and the after-school program something new or bringing back, or is it an increase as to you need to get children back up to speed because of the pandemic and being at home?
It is summer school is due to the pandemic. It was not something that was done. Well, we're trying to get our kids up to speed quickly. The after-school program, we had a state grant that I wrote when I first arrived. And the problem with the state grant is there are so many caveats on it and so many restrictions on it. We decided not to go in that direction with the grant. And what we did is we took the ARP funding and funded those after-school activities, which are jam-packed. They're really loaded with kids. I think we're running 3 after-school art programs. We're running a geology program. We're running invention convention programs with that. These are all academically based, and we've done coding, and kids are flocking to them.
Any questions from the members?
The only concern, obviously, is the same one that you have, Madam Chair, and that is after 3 years is up, are we creating a systemic obligation? Are you going to cut out summer school and all? I guess those are decisions made by the electorate that they'll decide if they think those are worth keeping at their own costs rather than federal costs. But it's we just have to be careful, I guess, for lack of a better term, that we don't do what we did with the Education Enhancement Act, give a ton of money and then pull it back and see programs pulled away. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any objection to this. I think it's a good model. very well put together. It just have, like I said, monitoring the efficacy of these in the hopes that after the third year, they can be continued.
That's our hope also.
Any other questions? For the superintendent? I have one more, superintendent. Can you describe to me, what is the Parent Academy 3 years?
One of there's a high correlation between a parent's education, a mother's education, and a child's success in school. In fact, it's probably one of the highest correlating factors that you can have. Many of our families do not, mothers do not have advanced degrees or even college education. And we're lucky that some of them have graduated high school. Kids who come out of those families come in with 30 to 40% less words that they know. And what we're trying to do is educate parents, to read books to kids, to, what we're trying to do in school. So there's a coordinated effort between families and the school.
That's good.
And so for that and that's minimum money, really.
Yeah.
The money is for stipends for teachers to stay after, and then also for supplies. And then we also found if you want people to show up, you feed them, they show up. So that's what we're trying to do. I've run this model in another district, and it was pretty successful that we pulled in those parents that we needed to see. And I wasn't there long enough to do a longitudinal study to track those kids, but we were having anywhere from 40 to 50% of our kindergarten parents come and get an idea of what we were doing and why we're doing it in ways that they could help.
Very good.
And,
So
and
that-
those field trips. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Nope, you're fine. Go ahead. Keep going with your field
trips. Those field trips are on the same thing. A lot of our kids don't travel. I mean, to take them to Mystic Seaport or the aquarium, they've never been there, and yet it's a 20-minute drive. Parents can't afford it.
Wouldn't have the transportation.
And the transportation. So this way, kids are going to places that they're reading about, etc. We just sent our 1-2 classroom to an apple orchard, and half the kids had never been to an apple orchard before. So it makes it harder when you are trying to teach reading for kids to pick up words and concepts if they can't visualize it.
Yeah, real life experiences really makes the difference. And
it does.
Yeah. And I understand. I came from a small town and definitely had field trips and learned from those experiences, and probably wouldn't have been able to experience them if I didn't take them up in school. So this is really wonderful. Plus, the governor has also supported this, as he made sure that museums and places like Mystic Aquarium were free this past year in the summer during the pandemic.
Yep. So when a part of our summer school program, in fact, was to encourage kids to come to summer school. If they attended, we had a certain percentage, and we would take a field trip on a Friday so they could go off-site and learn new things.
Very nice. So do you have other items to discuss concerning ESSER funds? This looks like the focus that you provided here was all about ARPA.
Yeah. So our ESSER funds, I think we gave you those things.
Okay.
Much of our ESSER funds were we increased we increased our social workers hours. They were 0.8 FTEs. We brought that up to 1.0 FTEs. That's full-time equivalent. And also we bought a math curriculum textbook, and we also did curriculum writing with it, and along with other things such as hand sanitizers, soaps, and etc.
Okay. All right. Julian, I didn't see in the packet that we've received something from the city about ARPA funds, and maybe it's just a verbal discussion that the first selectman wanted to bring. Unless I missed it. Oh, no, it's in the notes, right?
Yes, it's in the notes.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to walk us through that? First selectman.
Yep, sure. So we don't have a formal plan at this point. We are going to be holding a meeting to solicit public input. This is going to, for us, it has to go through the town approval for them to approve the plan. We do have some ideas of areas that we are going to bring to them as suggestions or priorities that we think, which include the cybersecurity and IT upgrades for the town. Also, possibly working on streetlights. Several years back, the town purchased the streetlights, but there was no plan put in place for maintenance, repairs, and that sort of thing. So we have quite a number of streetlights that are out, and that's not a budgeted item. So if we could at least get them up to speed for now, that could be a budgeted maintenance item going forward, but it's not something that was planned for when they were purchased. So that's where we are with that. We really need to do quite a bit of security upgrade in our IT area.
Okay. And your timeline is that you're having a meeting tomorrow or today?
Today, the Board of we're meeting with the Board of Finance to set a meeting date for the public, and then get the word out to get people to come. Hopefully, people will come. I don't know. I know the superintendent said they had one, and there wasn't anybody there. So.
Okay.
That is part of what you have to do with the ARP funding, is have that forum, and we set it out, and no one showed up.
Well, sometimes that can be helpful too.
But at least if you offer the opportunity, then.
Yeah. Then you'll get to be able to get your priorities taken care of.
Right.
So let's move on to unless you have any questions about the ARPA funds from the board members.
Just that when you do decide with the monies that you'll be receiving, could you allocate a cost for each item that you're spending? Similar to what we saw with the Board of Education. I mean, you have priorities under consideration, but at a later time, just associate that with the dollars with it, please.
Yes, we will do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any other questions? I hear none. So let's move on to the next agenda item, and it's the review and the discussion of status updates of your policies and procedures, then your audit, and then your corrective action plan.
So we did receive the updated draft of the policies and procedures yesterday, and we have begun to review that to make sure that all of the changes, including some of the ones that you recommended about that we discussed about the organization of the items. So there were quite a lot of things that we had recommended. We just want to make sure that they're in there. And then just need to integrate the Board of Ed processes, the ones that overlap with the town, just to make sure that's all in there.
And your schedule and completion is for the end of the year?
That's correct, yes.
Great. You want to update us on your audit?
I'm going to let Melissa's been in contact with them most, so I'm going to let her update on that.
They have provided us a listing of documents that they are requesting for the audit. I have started for a lot of the perm file documents, since we are a first-year client with them, I have uploaded to their portal. Regarding the funds, the smaller funds are closed. They just haven't been uploaded to their portal yet. And then general fund and CNR are in process of being completely closed out. They are scheduled to come out on January 17th to begin field work. And I know they need to discuss with the Board of Ed as well, because they plan on going out there, but they said as it gets closer, they will reach out to them.
Okay. Did they give you a timeline of when they, knowing that you're a new client of theirs, of when they think that they will complete the audit and provide you draft reports?
Other than from when they gave us the quote and bid, I think they were planning on being done by February, but no, that has not been a discussion that's come up since they've been hired.
Okay, so at this time, you think you're going to need 2 months worth of an extensions?
Yes, that's what I'm assuming, yes.
All right. I have no questions. Any questions from the members? So we touched upon the policies and procedures. Is there any other corrective action items that you want to update us on? Besides policies and procedures, that was one of them.
I don't know that we have anything else to update on that.
I know the cash flow was a problem at one time. Is that right, Madam Chair? How's that?
We have not seen I have not seen a cash flow recently. I'm assuming that things are on par, but that's a very good question, Mark. Thank you.
Cash flow is not a problem at this point.
And you're paying your invoices within 30 days?
Yes, everything is current, yes.
Beautiful.
But it would be good if we could get an updated cash flow projection that goes out to at least to the end of the fiscal year. Maybe have it come with the December reports. That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other related business? From the MARB or the town or the Board of Ed?
Just a quick update. We're in the middle of, this is Bill,
Yep.
Of negotiating our non-certified contract. We're very close to it. And we'll be on par with what the average is in the state for that contract. Which is basically a 2.25% increase for wages.
So when are you planning to do this when we're at the tentative agreement has to come forth to the MARB.
Yes, we know that.
Okay, okay.
We're technically in mediation. Our mediation
Okay.
date is next Thursday. We're close to settling now because we've continued to talk. The problem that we truly have is we have to get employees up to minimum wage in 2 years.
I hear that Julian's getting some activity.
That actually seems more like a solution than a problem, getting people up to minimum wage.
Yeah, did I hear that they are not at the minimum wage right now?
They are at minimum, but minimum in 2 years goes to 15. So we have
The new minimum.
some of our people. Excuse me?
The new minimum.
It's a new minimum. That's correct.
Okay.
So over the course of the contract, they have to get there. So we think we can do it with a 2.25% increase. The union has not officially adopted that, but I think they're beginning to come around to that. We want to give them a fair wage, but at the same time, we know that there are fiscal constraints in the town, and the town employees, I believe, only got a 2% raise. So for us, 2.25 is average for non-certified staff members in the state.
On the town side, Bill, the union public works got 2%, but the town workers got 1%.
Yeah. And we're having a hard time holding on to employees too, because people are moving in, and I can't blame them, moving into a higher paid position. We've lost in the last 2 months 3 or 4 people moving on to different positions for more pay, and we understand that, and they go with our blessing. But at the same time, we need to. We're trying to do that balance of increasing their pay, but also not breaking the bank.
Sure.
We are experiencing that in the other towns where they've asked for concessions, and now the workers seem to have they seem more mobile to go where they can get paid more. So there are consequences to trying to keep wages low. We've seen it.
Oh, absolutely. The best part about the whole negotiation, it's been a great dialogue back and forth, and I think we understand the union position and they understand our position. So we're trying, like I said, find that happy medium where we can give raises that make sense for them and us. This has not been contentious at all. It's been not so much traditional bargaining, but some really good conversations back and forth.
Good.
It's good to hear that.
It really is. Sal, you probably don't hear that very often.
No, but that's good because
It is.
You're able, when people have problems reaching agreement, it's because they can't understand the other side.
Sure.
Right.
So a good, respectful
So you keep
conversation.
the dialogue going.
Yeah. No, it's good.
With our certified staff, we did IBB, interest-based bargaining.
Yeah.
And we came in a little bit under average for certified staff, but I think that the teachers appreciated the dialogue, and I think understood some of our dilemmas that they have, and we understood what they were looking for, and we tried to compromise, and it went very well.
One other question, Julian, in this discussion with the superintendent, do we have to worry about an upcoming meeting for approval on these contracts? if, let's just say,
Yeah.
and I know we can take this offline, but I'm just, would want people to be alerted if you think that we're going to need to have a special meeting.
Right, without knowing when the
I
tentative
understand.
agreement is buttoned up, I would say expect that there will be a need for a special meeting. You hope if we can have it align with when, you know,
MARB.
with a subcommittee meeting that, you know, on a date that it would normally fall, or, you know, on a date that the Hartford subcommittee meets, or,
Right.
you know, we'll try our best to have it align with something that's somewhat, you know, more with the regular sort of
Right.
meeting dates, but it sounds like there will be a good possibility that we have to fit one in.
So if I look at the calendar moving out, Superintendent, you mentioned it would be next Thursday, but that's Thanksgiving. So I don't think it would be Thursday. It might be a different day. And MARB is on December 9th.
It is December 2nd. I'm sorry.
December 2nd.
Got ahead of
Okay.
myself.
Very good.
That would be mediation.
Yep.
We could settle at that time. We could go on further. I
Understand.
think we're close that we should be able to settle before we get to that December 2nd date.
Good. Okay. So maybe there's a possibility that we can have a subcommittee prior to the MARB meeting. Good. Thank you for the heads up with that. Any other discussion? All right, I hear none. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Sal Luciano.
Thank you, Sal.
Second?
Second. Thank you, Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I
Happy
hear.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You
Have a
too,
good
Sal.
Thanksgiving, everybody.